Hi, I am Bruno Macena. I am a senior information security professional. I am responsible for overseeing the information security and cybersecurity programs for Latin American companies. I am very happy with the opportunity to talk with you and to share some of my experience and tips to strengthen your cybersecurity program during the COVID-19 crisis. So here is our agenda for today's Cyber Talk. Starting from understanding the psychology behind the cybercrime, then moving to the tips for network security, tips for phishing attacks, and finally, tips for data backup and recovery. I hope you enjoy it. So let's start. 1. Understanding the psychology behind a cybercrime. First, you must understand that cybercrime isn't much about machine, but more about people. People's experience and emotion drive their behavior and their habits. People commonly assume they are targets of cybercriminals, which is a mistake. They are not aware of how easy it's to gain access to a large amount of information just through a web search. Even worse, they don't know how this can impact their personal and professional lives. It's also true for employees in business corporations. There are two types of companies: the ones that have suffered a cyber attack, and the ones that will, or don't know they have been indeed attacked. It's also true about behavior. For example, almost every employee, and you can consider employees from your corporation, your colleagues, when in a coffee shop, they would feel comfortable to connect to a coffee shop free Wi-Fi hotspot. The issue is this open Wi-Fi can potentially be a fraudulent, unsecured network, being monitored, spied by cybercriminals, which want to get as much information as possible about the people who connect on it. For example, attaining corporate network credentials and using a man-in-the-middle technique. What do I mean by this? Organizations may only invest in traditional security stuff as firewalls, antivirals, and anti-spam solutions. But it isn't enough anymore. People own and/or use the information and system that cybercriminals desire and target. And those people, your colleagues, are the weakest link in the cybersecurity program chain. It is also true, considering the current cyberspace landscape, that cybercriminals are currently able to engage and apply advanced technology such as deep learning, artificial intelligence, and a lot of automation to explore people behaviors and their weaknesses. What do they explore? Let's find out. People are trusting and hopeful. People prefer to trust in place of being skeptical. It's cultural. If it seems legitimate, so it is. People are curious. They don't hesitate when clicking on a link to win a $50 gift card. People are uninformed. They still choose easy passwords like 123456, which was one of the most used passwords in the last years. So here is the first tip for you. Consider a comprehensive security awareness program as part of your cybersecurity strategy. We will cover it more in details on the section 3. So what does it have in common with COVID-19 crisis? The answer is you, as a cybersecurity professional, are now finding yourself dedicated to quickly fix potential weaknesses in your company's cybersecurity program, while IT is running to enable the company's resilience, for example, enabling the employees to work from home during the state lockdown policies via a new deployed or expanded virtual private network solution, VPNs. Okay, so what's the issue? It is that deploying technological solutions without the proper planning and evaluation during the crisis could lead to other crises inside the first one. There are many solutions and frameworks that could help you. Some security frameworks you can refer to are NIST CSF, Critical Infrastructure Framework, ISO 27001, Just to cite some, these frameworks are trustworthy and will help support your cybersecurity program and decision during this COVID-19 crisis because they have been deployed and tested countless times. They are cautious and are appropriate to support the company's resilience. So another tip for you is to take advantage of these frameworks as much as possible to assess, map, and prioritize your cybersecurity risks and mitigation opportunities. Knowing well your company's technology capabilities, you can take advantage of this exercise to help you make better and more balanced decisions. In this webinar, we are going to go beyond your company's business continuity, disaster recovery plans, and its test procedures, which were adequately explored in a previous webinar from another colleague of ours. In this webinar, we will explore some key tips to help you on strengthening your cybersecurity program during the COVID-19 crisis and also after that. 2. Tips for network security. You may be facing challenges with a suddenly budget restriction due to the COVID-19 crisis. If it's your case, consider the next topics as an opportunity to gain in scale, enabling functionalities that your current cybersecurity tools may already have, or at least you should consider it to prioritize your budget strategically. Starting with VPNs. In order to strengthen your overall security, while your company's employees are working from home, you should consider how protected they are on this scenario. Your current cybersecurity program may count with next-generation firewalls that control security at the application level, leveraging advanced malware protection and sandboxing solutions as far as data loss prevention with deep SSL decryption and inspection. But if your users, workers are outside of your virtual walls, your entire cybersecurity strategy is now not enough. Remember that cybercrime isn't much about computers, but more about people. What to do now? You must consider deploying an enabling solution that enforces users to be continuously connected to the appropriate security controls while they are online. It can be achieved through VPN enforced solutions that dials a VPN anytime the user comes online and or disable network traffics if the VPN is not connected. There are different approaches such as enabling similar cybersecurity solutions on the cloud, in which a security administrator can configure the company's device to connect to these alternative solutions, primarily when the users are working outside of the office. Don't forget to protect the user's identity. Strengthen its authentication methods, as for example, enable multi-factor authentication onto your company's VPNs, corporative portals, and other sensitive environments. Have in mind that your users are cybercriminals at targets, and these users owns and or access information and systems from your company. You should also consider to protect their device. Not just data loss prevention tools that can collaborate with the user's device and your network solution via the VPN, for example. But you must also consider to secure user's device via deploying personal firewall, personal intrusion prevention solution, advanced malware protection solutions, file integrity monitor tools, mobile device management, and other solutions. Secure the cloud. The increased use of cloud-based applications by organizations has also been perceived by the cybercriminals, who have silently changed the threat landscape. In order to clarify this point, you should be aware that many recent cloud hacking events were possible due to human error, such as the incorrect configuration of buckets or APIs, and the use of stolen credentials. This is especially true for the cloud DevOps pipes over developers' credentials, access keys, and their environments. A good tip to consider is to invest in hands-on trainings on cloud and cloud security for the team. You should include your developers on it. If the budget is a constraint, you may want to have your internal cloud specialist as the instructor for your teams and multiply the knowledge. By the way, face off the lacking of cybersecurity personnel, it's a good strategy to build up strong teams internally with trainings from your own specialists. And if your team lacks these skills, you must consider buy this knowledge from the market somehow in order to then multiply it internally. To cite some other important cloud security best practices, consider the adoption of key and access key rotations policies, and always delete it if it's not required for your setup. The mandatory use of multi-factor authentication, for example, for the administrator and user console access. The deployment of bastion hosts for computing service management is also a good approach. Guarantee only least access privileges. Deploy a cloud posture management tool, as for example, to monitor and check for open buckets. To adopt continuous monitoring for configuration changes and access logs. To perform application security and penetration tests. Moreover, the use of cloud and its shadow IT consequence may increase during this work from home strategy and become an issue for your company. As for the definition proposed, you can consider shadow IT as a solution adopted within a company that's not supported by the organization's central IT department. So you could also add your strategy, a CISB solution. A CISB, Cloud Access Security Broker, is a solution that can sit between companies' workers and a cloud service. It acts as a gatekeeper, allowing the company to extend their security policies beyond their own infrastructure. All of these tips are relevant during this COVID-19 crisis, as cyber attacks against companies have increased dramatically during this. 3. Tips on phishing attacks. Phishing, spear phishing, and more recently, whaling attacks are strikes against people's trustfulness. Whaling attacks in particular targets the big fish in a company and also explores sophisticated methods of social engineering. These attacks intend to deliver pieces of malware codes via drive-by download techniques. Infected attachments and steganography are also used, and infected links and emails, and much more. These malware codes can commonly be found as zero-day, remain in no, even the anti-malware platforms it is presented. Since it infects the user device, it started calls the command control center and updates itself with other code pieces and activates its stealth and persistence strategy while exploring the users and company's sensitive data and secrets. How to protect against it? Beyond the advanced threat protection solutions and next generation firewall discussed on the previous session, you must educate your people, your users, top to the bottom, including any contractor that works on behalf of your companies. They must know about this threat. They must understand their mechanisms. They must become more skeptical and not so trustful. They must understand that curiosity in cyberspace could drive to a cybersecurity incident. Cybersecurity education, or in some place known as cybersecurity awareness, is a key tip. Big enterprises recently adopted quarterly phishing scans and programmatically custom spear phishing exercise as a strategy to strengthen the cybersecurity education. You must include cybersecurity education in your strategy and consider that people only learn what is repeatedly presented to them. So you must be persistent. 4. Tips for data backup and recovery. Nowadays, you shouldn't consider you are safe for having a good backup software. You must have a strong data backup strategy. This strategy should include backup policies, scheduled routines, backup restoration tests, media and data integrity tests, retention and expiration periods, data disposal, policies and procedures, encryption, resilient backup devices and machines. Even this is still not enough. During this COVID-19 crisis, there were a reasonable increase on cyber attacks, including also ransomware attacks. These attacks commonly include advanced data and asset discovery techniques. To better target the encryption over key companies' assets for the ransom purpose, you must be aware that the encryption keys and algorithms used by ransomware are also commonly hard to break. You may also be aware that potential impacts of many companies have suffered when failing victims of these types of cybercrime. I don't want to name any of these malwares or companies, but some of them have become famous recently. The key tip here is to work on offline or disconnected backup storage, off-site backup storage, and also on a robust disaster recovery plan. You must consider to periodically update and test your disaster recovery documentation and procedures as part of your business continuation program. And the total time of your restoration period must be carefully planned and aligned with the company's service return time objectives. A ransomware cannot encrypt data that is not accessible, but remember to properly document and protect any secret keys, system configurations, and that data schema that you should consider being also added to your backup in order to guarantee they are restorable. You must consider your users and its device, even when working from home. For example, enable friendly users online file storage tools. If you are a customer of Microsoft O365, for example, you can use Microsoft OneDrive or SharePoint portals if properly protected. So thank you. You may have perceived that these tips can help you protecting and strengthen your cybersecurity program during this COVID-19 crisis, but it can also protect you through any other security challenge your company faces. I am glad to let you know that the tips presented here were result from research of recent published relevant papers, but were strengthened with the collaboration of a relevant number of CISOs and security experts of Brazil from the CISO social network, of which I am a part. I really hope this webinar was useful to you. Stay safe and goodbye.